So let's talk a little bit about World War II, and the things that you need to know are going to be, again, these are high level things that we're looking at, all right? But what you have to remember here, right, when we're talking about this, when we're talking about World War II and the Americans, there's two wars. There's the war in Japan, which is called the War in the Pacific, and then you're going to have the war in Europe, which is going to be against Germany and the fascists. So here's the thing. You know, the idea of fascism, and it was a war against fascism that the American people started to pick up. And so what happened was, you've got this fascist idea with the mustache man in Germany, and the idea was he was looking for boosting the people and the businesses. And how could he do that? Well, once the chancellor died, and he became chancellor once the president died, President Hindenburg in 1933. But here's what he did. How did he make that happen? He says, look, if we suspend the Constitution, I can make these changes and we can make this happen. So they did, and he immediately eliminated all political parties except for the N party, and then was the beginning of these rules and laws that are going to be forming these concentration camps for any political opponent. That gets super dangerous, right? So here's the thing. This war on fascism began, right? And this was going through the 1930s up to the end of 1940 when Germany had gotten control of all of Europe, right? Now, once that happened, right? In the meantime, they had been deporting and getting rid of the Jewish and the unwanted populations. When you start taking and shipping them to Poland and to France and other areas in Europe, and then you take them over again, now you've got the problem. So this is where eventually the Germans came up with their final solution, right? And here's one thing you want to make sure that you understand. This concentration camps, right? And what concentration camps are is when you have a lot of people in one area, okay? A lot of people in one area, not enough facilities. So not enough food, not enough places to sleep, not enough water, medical attention, etc., okay? Large amounts of people, more than what there should be in that area. That's a concentration camp. Now, here's the thing. You've also got the work camps, which again is putting the people to work, literally scientifically knowing how much to feed them and give them water, so they're basically working themselves to death. And this was a slow process that happened through time, right? But when you started taking over all of Europe, and the mustache man's like, there's an issue where we can't get to the point of eliminating these folks from our society, and so they needed another solution, which comes up to the final solution. Now that's where the death camps come in. Death camps are concentration camps. Concentration camps are not death camps. Make sure you know that difference, all right? So this became a war for the U.S. against the ideas of fascism, all right? And the eventual atrocities that were going to end up in Japan. We'll talk about those later. Peace.